Hey, how's it going? This is Seth from retipster.com, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to create a buyer's list through your website, and I'm going to show you how to do it through this particular set of WordPress themes from REI Conversion. So a lot of what I'm going to show you here is sort of predicated on the assumption that you are a user of REI Conversion. However, even if you're not using REI Conversion, a lot of the concepts and just tools I'm going to show you will apply to other stuff as well. Even if you're like a real estate agent or a house wholesaler, or you're trying to build a list for some other reason and you're not using REI Conversion, there's still something for you here. So if you've seen some of the other videos I've put out there about REI Conversion in the past, you'll know that I use this for both my buying website and my selling website. They have really high quality WordPress themes that just work exceptionally well, but they added a few new features to the themes so that you can sort of collect leads and add buyers to your buyers list almost on autopilot if you're handling it the right way and driving traffic to your site the right way. The first way you can do this is to set up like a standalone landing page with no other navigation on it. You just land on the page and all you see is a little bit of text, maybe a video or image, and then an opt-in form. So I'm going to show you a few examples of what these look like and some of the different templates that REI Conversion has set up for this. So I'm going to log into the back end of my website here. But all you have to do is go down here to pages, and there's these 4 new opt-in page templates. And I've already edited some of these a little bit, and I think at least one of them I haven't touched at all. So you can kind of see where they're at. I'm just going to open up each one of these. We can get a preview of each one. Okay, so this is one that I have not touched yet, but you can just sort of see what the template looks like right out of the box. You can insert your company logo right here. You can put a headline here and some text here. It's already got some fairly well-written stuff there just to begin with. And there's a few different ways you can set these things up. So sometimes when people use this kind of squeeze page or opt-in page, the way that they get visitors to sign up is by sort of luring them in with some kind of lead magnet, they call it, which in this case is like an ebook. So one way to do this would be for you to literally create your own ebook and create your own cover. And so you'd have to figure out what to write. It should be something that's genuinely helpful for people and say, hey, you can get this if you sign up here. And if you're a real estate investor and you're trying to get people to join your buyers list so that they can get notified of all the new properties you have for sale before the general public does, so like they have first dibs, ideally you can sell your properties to these people like within hours of putting it out there. So if that's what you're trying to do, I think this can work. I don't know that it's like the best way to do it though, just given what you have to offer and what you're trying to get people to do, because you're not necessarily trying to like educate people about the land business. You're trying to like get serious buyers who have cash and they're ready to go right now. So in my mind, the way I would probably approach this is I would sort of show them examples of what they can get if they join my buyers list. So I have another one that I edited a little bit. I'll just show you a little bit more of what I mean. This is one, I didn't update the logo yet, but I changed around the text a little bit. And what I did was I created this little animated GIF image in Canva, which is actually not that hard to do. And Canva allows you to put these little animations on it now so that it's like a moving image. And I basically just showed examples of like, hey, these are past properties that we have sold. These are what they were valued at, and this is what we eventually sold them for. So in other words, if you had been on our buyers list back when we sold these properties, you could have gotten over $100,000 of free real estate equity on some of these things. So if you want to join it now, maybe you can get in on the next deal, that kind of thing. That's sort of what I'm implying through this. So like, I'm not trying to give away like education necessarily. Not that that's completely irrelevant, but I just don't know that it's like the #1 play that I would go for in this kind of scenario. And I also don't really know who all of these buyers might be. I don't want to presume that I know what they care about. You know, like if I were to make an ebook about how to find the right property for your tiny house or homesteading, or, you know, how to develop your land, that might apply to some people, but it also won't apply to a lot of people. So as soon as you go down that ebook road, you kind of have to start making a lot of assumptions, or at least being very, very broad in what you talk about. And it's also a ton of work to make an ebook and actually make the thing look good and valuable. There is a company out there called Supercharged Offers where they actually do this stuff like professionally. They can write the whole ebook. They can come up with the logo and the book cover and all this stuff. So say if you know you do want to do that kind of ebook thing, but you just have no idea how to do it yourself, there is pretty specialized help out there for that. So go check out Supercharged Offers, and they might be able to assist with that as well. So you certainly can do that. I don't want to discourage you from that. If you know who your buyers are and you know exactly what would help them, go for it. But I'm also saying if you don't know exactly who they are And if you don't want to put all the work into that, this might be an easier way to create an image that's going to appeal to them and also convince them to sign up and also to help set proper expectations from the outset. So anyway, I just thought I would share that idea. And just to show you how I created this in Canva, I created a little YouTube thumbnail template, and then I found some frames that I could put in here. I went here to these grids and I selected, I think it was this one right here. And it basically just overlays image spots. And then you can go up here to uploads and you can upload pictures of the actual property you've sold in the past, and then drag them over here to replace those frames. And then you can go over here to text and add text like this. You can change the color of the text. Say if it's against a dark background, you can make it white. If it's against a light background, you can make it dark. You can change the font to whatever you want. There's all kinds of stuff you can do here. This isn't really intended to be a Canva tutorial, but just so you know, Canva is free for the most part. There are some pro features you can pay for, but most of the stuff you need to do is free. And if you don't want to use Canva, that's okay too. You could just as well find somebody on Fiverr or Upwork to make an image like this for you. You could either show them this exact one and say, hey, make me something similar with my properties, or you could come up with some other type of image that you think would do a good job of convincing people to sign up. This is literally something I threw together in like 10 minutes, and it was the first idea that popped into my head. So I'm not saying this is like the ultimate way to do it. This is just one example to work from. Anyway, so there's that idea in terms of how you can create a landing page just by putting an image on there. It doesn't have to have this kind of animation to it. I just thought it was a little bit more eye-catching and drew my attention to those numbers a little bit better. So anyway, that's one option. And also something you'll notice here in terms of the form that I made, I actually should probably change up this background so that these fields have more contrast and don't like blend into it. But the thing I want to draw your attention to is that a lot of times with a landing page like this, what you'll see people asking for is just like the email address and that's it, or maybe the person's name and email address. And what I did was I actually added a phone number to this, because when we're talking about a buyer's list that you want to have be responsive, where you send out property information and the people actually respond and say, yes, I want to buy that thing. People are a lot more responsive when you either call or text them instead of sending an email. And email certainly works. I don't mean to imply that that's not useful, but a lot of people these days sort of see their email inbox as just this big web of spam where just junk funnels into it all the time. And occasionally there's an important message in there. And when a person sees their email inbox that way, they're almost like programmed to just tune you out when you send an email to them. With a phone number, especially if you like pick up the phone and call a person directly, it's just much harder for people to ignore that kind of personal attention. So if you do have a buyer's list that you intend to like really use and engage with on a regular basis, having that phone number, even if you don't require it, but just giving people the option to submit that to you can be very helpful. And there are ways to automate this a little bit as well with the phone number, which I'm going to show you in just a minute. Before we get to that, I'm just going to show you a couple other examples here. So this is another one, and this one says most of the same stuff, but the main difference on this template is that it gives you a place to put a video instead of an image. And video is kind of similar to like the whole concept of a squeeze page in general, where it can be extremely powerful if the video is done well. If it's not done well, if it goes on forever, if it's like boring or cheesy or something like that, then it can almost sort of do more damage than good. So if you're going to go down the path of video, I would just say like really put some thought and effort into doing it right. And video has actually changed a little bit over the past several years with social media, where it used to be that people were happy to watch like a much longer video, but these days people have a much shorter attention span. I actually know several people who like do professional Facebook marketing full time, like for big companies and stuff, and they've noticed this as just an ongoing trend. So they try to make their videos just shorter and to the point. But I think a decent idea on a video that could work would actually be a similar concept to what you see here. You would just make it a video that's maybe like 30 or 60 seconds long, showing a few of your past property listings, what they were worth approximately and what they ended up selling for, and put some nice music in the background. And it's actually super easy to create these kinds of videos if you use a paid video creation software like Lumen 5, for example. I've used this one in the past. I think it's the most expensive one out there, but it's also like the easiest one to work with, and they look really good. And a lot of these huge companies use these. If you go down here, you can actually see some examples of what these videos can look like. You can make them square, you can make them like vertical, you can make them wide, really whatever fits with the application. But it would be really easy to just have one of these videos playing, even if there's not even any music to it, just showing here's one property, here's what it was valued at approximately, and then here's what it sold for. Here's your next one, value, sale price, and just giving people the idea of what they can expect to get from your future property listings if they sign up for your buyer's list. And it kind of just acts as your salesman for you. So if somebody lands on that landing page, they can see what they'll get if they sign up, and they're encouraged to do it right there. So anyway, Lumen 5 is one solid place to do this, but again, it's also a little pricey. Another one that is a lot less expensive, and it's actually a lot more flexible, but I found it to be a little bit less user-friendly because there's so many different things you can do with it. Like it almost like bombards you with a lot of different options, but it's still pretty good if you can deal with that, is InVideo. And I actually have a blog post and review of it right here on RE Tipster where I show you exactly how to use it. So either one of those options could work if you decide to do this kind of concept where you want to have a video playing in the background. And here's another different layout, but the same general idea from the same theme where you could make a landing page that looks this way. And just in terms of how you can edit these things, so REI Conversion is actually like very, very good with customer service, like the best of any website theme developer out there that I've ever known of. So they can probably help you get this thing looking however you want it to. They're not going to make the video for you, but they could at least get the text looking right and the form looking right and all that stuff, just so that visually it looks the right way for you. So if you're using an REI Conversion theme, it should be pretty easy for you. If you're not using REI Conversion, if you have some other random WordPress theme set up that just acts as a landing page, in that case, I think the same general principles apply, just in terms of how you can set up a good landing page that people actually respond to, what you should ask for, and all that stuff. So that's all like the front-facing visual aesthetic stuff to know about. But if you do decide to do this kind of thing, you're also going to need to set up some automations in the background as well. Or I should say you don't have to, but like it's pretty smart too. It's going to be a lot of work if you don't set up these automations. So I'm going to quick show you a little bit about that. So on the back end of WordPress here, so this is the back end of my selling website. So this particular theme works with a plugin called Ninja Forms, and Ninja Forms is what you see here. That's where these fields are coming from. That's what makes all of that work. So that when a person hits submit, that information goes somewhere. It can go to an email service, it can go to a phone texting service, it can go to your email inbox, it can go to a Google Sheet, wherever you tell it to go. And that's what I want to show you how to do. So first of all, if I just put a test entry in here, we'll see where this goes. So I'm going to go ahead and hit submit here, and we can see, okay, great, it got submitted. And what happens here is, first of all, I get an email in my inbox showing me exactly what was submitted. So I'll quick show you that. So here we go. That's the email that just came in. And it's also going to be stored on the website itself. So if we go over here to Ninja Forms, and then click on submissions, we can see any submissions that have come through under the form that is being used there. And that particular form is one that I created. I'm just calling it landing page. There we go. We can see that submission that just came through a few seconds ago. So no matter what, even if you don't have any automation set up whatsoever, something that's always going to happen when somebody submits that form is it's going to be stored here on your website, and it's going to go to whatever email address you have plugged into Ninja Forms. So that's always going to happen. However, if that's all you have happening, it's going to be a ton of manual work for you to like keep track of who submitted their stuff, you know, who's on your list and who you can actually contact. A much, much easier way to do this, that I don't know why you wouldn't do it this way, is to download and install this add-on to Ninja Forms, which costs $49 a year for a single site, or $79 a year for up to 5 sites. And it's kind of a bummer that you have to pay for this, but if you do, it unlocks so many possibilities, because then your Ninja Forms plugin can communicate with almost anything else out there through a Zapier integration. And Zapier, there's kind of a lot to know about. I should probably do a whole separate video just on Zapier, but Zapier basically allows you to set up what they call zaps, so that when something happens in Ninja Forms, it can then communicate with another website or another account or another service that you can specify, you know, what exactly it should do on the back end. So for example, once somebody fills out the information here and hits submit, it's not just going to store that email address and phone number on my website. It's not just going to send me an email. It's also going to store that information in a third-party email broadcasting service. Like for example, MailerLite is a popular one. MailChimp is another, Constant Contact, Aweber, there's tons of them out there. I've worked with several of these. They're all kind of the same thing, but some of them offer different perks. Like for example, MailerLite, I believe you can do a lot of stuff for free before you have to start paying anything. MailChimp, I believe, is similar. These other ones, I don't think are free, but it's been a while since I've looked at them. So it's kind of up to you. I'm going to have affiliate links to most of these beneath this video if you want to check them out. But I think any of them can work. But until you get this Ninja Forms Zapier add-on installed, it's not going to be able to communicate with them. So if you want to take advantage of that automation, and I really think you should if you're going to go down this road, because it'll save you just unbelievable amounts of time and thought. You'll have to get this in order to make that work. So that's what you can use so that when a person submits this form, their name and email address and possibly even their phone number will get stored in one of these services, and then you can use that service to send out your weekly or monthly email broadcast with your new properties that you're bringing to the market. So you can just very easily blast them out an email and let them all know, hey, here's the new deal. Give me a call right now if you want to buy this thing. It's going to go quick, that kind of thing. So that's the email approach. And the phone number option. So one option is to like set up a Google Sheet and have this thing send that information to the Google Sheet through a little Zapier integration. That way you could like literally pick up the phone and call people directly. Say if you know there's some really good buyers on that list and it's worth you calling them, you could do it that way. Or you could like send them out an automated text. And there's a service that I've been using for a while on this. I actually use this for RE Tipster. If you ever listen to the podcast, there's a little thing I say at the very end where I say, hey, you can text the word free to the number 33777. And what happens is when people do that, it will then respond to them and ask for their email address, and they can sign up that way. That's one way to use Textful, but not the only way. You can also set up text blasts so that when you do have these new deals, you could text them out a link to a website where they can find all the property information, or you could just say, hey, new deal at this address. Call me now, or reply for more, or whatever you want to say. But in terms of just sending that message to somebody's phone, you could do it that way as well. And also something that I haven't even really tried a whole lot myself yet is ringless voicemail drops, where you can send a pre-recorded voicemail greeting to somebody's phone. It never even rings on their phone. It just shows up as a voicemail message, and then they can listen to it and call you back or do whatever you tell them to do in that voicemail greeting. And that's actually not something you would do through Textful. If you wanted to do ringless voicemail drops, there's several services out there that can do that. One of them that I happen to know about is JustDeliverIt.net. We've got an affiliate link to this one as well below. We've used it one time here through RE Tipster, so we don't have extensive experience with it. But the point I'm trying to make here, whether you use this or not, is that if you just get a person's phone number, it makes a lot of things possible that wouldn't otherwise be possible if you didn't have that phone number. So anyway, that's the quick overview on these standalone landing pages that can be used. And I think this is very, very useful. I actually first started doing this about 10 years ago. And what I had done is I created a 16-minute long video that I very, very carefully thought through and crafted and put together, and it performed phenomenally well. Like, it was crazy how well it did. It took me a ton of time to make the video that went along with it, because I was just really clearly explaining why land, why us, how can we help you, how can we make your life easier, showing that I understood the pain points of another real estate investor out there trying to find deals and how I could solve a lot of their problems. And it just worked really well. So if you're willing to really, really put a lot of time into a really good video, it can do awesome. But if you're just gonna like throw it together, I wouldn't expect anything amazing. So it's one of those things, like, the more effort and thought you put into it, the better it will do for you. And the same thing goes really for the image. And I think that's one of the nice things about an image is that, first of all, it doesn't take nearly as long to make. And also it doesn't take nearly as much time for the visitor to see it and understand what you're trying to say. I'm not even necessarily saying this is like the most amazing thing. There's probably a lot of different ways you could go at this in terms of making a really good image. This could be just a single property, or you could just not even mention the numbers. I mean, it's kind of up to you, but just sort of think through it from the perspective of your end user or of the buyer who's going to be signing up for your buyers list, and think, what would they want to see? Like, what do they need to know in order for them to feel comfortable signing up? So that's the whole landing page side of things. Another way to do this, and this has actually been part of this theme for a while now, this is nothing new, but REI Landlist also has this thing called the Property Content Lock plugin. When you click on this, This can do a couple different things. It can either lock the entire site so that when somebody lands on your website, they literally can't go anywhere until they sign up for your buyers list. And then once they do sign up, the website is going to remember them for up to 14 days. So it's not going to continually annoy them every time they come to your website. And you can actually do it so that they're forced to sign up, like they can't go anywhere until they do. Or you can just allow them to close the box and keep going on if they don't want to. So it's kind of up to you. And you can do that for the entire site, or you can do it for just the properties. So a person can land on your homepage and sort of navigate around and see stuff, but the second they click on a property listing and try to see that information, it'll go through, but then a box will show up saying, sorry, you got to sign up first before you can see anything. And that could be another really effective way of building your buyers list without even having to set up a whole separate landing page like this. I'll just quick show you what I mean when I say this. So I've currently got this set up to only lock the properties. So when I go down here and click on one of these property listings, there you go. I can't scroll anywhere. I can kind of see the stuff in the background, but I can't go down and see more until I either close this thing. And I don't have it set up to force a person to do it. A person could just close this and move on. But if I wanted to, like if I really wanted to keep those things secret and only available to the buyers list, I could force them to sign up, and then they can go through. So that's another really cool way to build your buyers list that I haven't seen any other real estate listing website do, and REI Conversion can do it. And then the exact same stuff applies to this form in terms of if you want this thing to be automated, you would have to get that Ninja Forms Zapier add-on and then get Zapier involved and figure out what mail service you're going to use to store those email addresses. And if you're going to ask for phone numbers, what you're going to do with those. And also keep in mind, you don't even really have to use one of these services at all for both phone or email. What you could do here with Zapier is create a Google Sheet. And every time somebody fills out and submits one of these forms, it would go and just put that information in a Google Sheet. So at some point you could go back and see your whole list in a spreadsheet. You could copy that information and use that to call people or text people or email people. Again, I think that's way more manual than it ought to be, but that is an option. If you're just absolutely adamant about not paying for one of these other services, that's an option too. But yeah, I just wanted to show you in terms of building your buyers list, REI Conversion makes it really easy. And even if you don't use REI Conversion, if you have some other standalone theme for a landing page or something like that, a lot of these same principles apply in terms of how you can set up the automations and what you can say on your landing page and the importance of a good video or image. Hope you guys found this helpful, and talk to you again soon.